We begin tonight with new information. The death of Lafayette Police Senior Corporal Segus Jolivette. News 15 Investigates has uncovered he was killed by friendly fire.
Jolivette, an 11-year veteran of the force, died in the line of duty during a SWAT standoff 2 weeks ago today when law enforcement descended on a home in Jeanerette where 2 people were held hostage. So how will this news impact the case against the standoff suspect who police say put that deadly day into motion? News 15's Jeff Horchak joining us live in studio with the details. And Jeff, what did we find out?
Well, Jim, Marcel, Corporal Jolivette's death is a community tragedy. The question many across Acadiana are asking tonight is, why did this happen? There are 2 factors emerging so far: friendly fire and a 4-time felon. It was a tragedy in the making. An hours-long standoff with an armed suspect turns into a hostage situation that ends in gunfire. The 2 hostages are safely rescued and the suspect taken into custody on multiple arrest warrants.
This is the last call for 411, Senior Corporal Segus Jolivette.
But in the process, Lafayette SWAT officer Corporal Segus Jolivette is shot and killed. Several others grazed and wounded. Lafayette police saying in a statement at the time, quote, during the operation, the suspect fired multiple shots at law enforcement. However, News 15 Investigates has learned from multiple law enforcement and government sources that Corporal Jolivette actually died from what's known as friendly fire. The bullet that killed Jolivette coming from a police SWAT rifle and not the suspect's gun. Louisiana State Police not commenting, saying they're still investigating and trying to sort out the details of exactly what happened on that fateful late afternoon.
The friendly fire issue is in my opinion, I guess critical to some degree, but to me it's not. What was the root cause? Why was that gun fired, right? So someone was responsible for that officer to have to fire his weapon. And that's the person who needs to be held accountable.
Dusson Police Chief Kip Judy's sharing the sentiment of many that 4-time convicted violent felon Nigel Hurst is to blame for Jolivette's death, even if he didn't fire the deadly shot.
Had this guy carried out the sentence he received in 2022, we would not even be seeing him until 2030. He would still be locked up. Corporal Jolivette would still be alive. We would not have had an incident in Jeanerette on that day. All of those factors to me are critical, more so than the fact that maybe it was friendly fire or not. That's not the critical parts. The critical parts of this is that the criminal justice system in the state of Louisiana has blood on its hands.
Judice is advocating for a proposal he calls Segus Law, which would require a mandatory sentence upon a person's 3rd felony conviction. And he says despite 4 convictions, Hurst only served a total of 7 months in prison. Hurst currently remains jailed on outstanding warrants and so far hasn't been charged in Jolivette's death. But LSU law professor Ken Levy believes it's only a matter of time.
Looks to me like a clear first-degree murder charge. Even though the suspect's bullet is not the one that killed Officer Jolivette, because he was still engaging in a shootout with the officers, and that would be considered the proximate cause of the officer's death, which is enough for first-degree murder.
However, Levy tells News 15 Investigates that he expects Hurst to mount a defense based on the fact that friendly fire actually caused Jolivette's death.
The defense is probably going to argue that it wasn't the suspect's bullet, he didn't actually kill the officer. So it's going to be a question of causation that they're going to rely on. They might also argue that the officer who did the officer who did end up killing Officer Jolivette, accidentally, was either negligent or reckless in his shooting or her shooting. We don't know who. And so that mitigates in some way. I don't think these will be successful arguments, but I think that's the best they can do.
Now, News 15 Investigates just spoke with state police within the past hour, and they tell us their investigators are working diligently to examine all the evidence and facts of this incident. Tonight, LSP says the investigation into this tragedy remains, quote, active and ongoing. Live in studio for News 15 Investigates, I'm Jeff Horchak.